Deploying VM or workload in cloud. In this case, it would be Amazon and Azure through Cisco Intercloud Fabric version 2.21a. So we have already deployed the ICF, and how we are going to do, how we did that, you can see in previous sessions, step by step. Like, first of all, deploy the OVA, and then I set up the infrastructure, and next set up the cloud. Now is the time that we kind of prepare the ICFD to deploy the workload. So kind of bring everybody in sync. Where we are right now is on the left side is your enterprise data center. On your right side is your Amazon cloud. On the data center, we have your virtual center host, and we have deployed the ICF host VM. On top of that, there is ICFD, PNSC, CVSM, ICX. What are those things? I kind of explained that in the last previous sessions. I'll not go back again. But you can see the kind of abbreviation at the bottom. So ICX and ICS is a tunnel we just created to make the VPN tunnel between your private cloud and the public cloud. Now at this stage, we're going to provision the app VM and web VM. It's kind of a test VM there, and we decided it's kind of VLAN 10 and VLAN 11, 11 for app and 10 for web. And once it is deployed, you should be able to communicate to that VM, use that VM. But just a kind of matter of caution that in this lab, we don't have any real VLAN 11 and 10. So we will also deploy another VM in the management, your VLAN, so that's 17. And then we'll see that how we can RDP or ping or talk to that VM. And same for Azure, exactly same thing. We'll deploy we'll deploy side by side and see how that goes. Now to deploy a VM, you have to do a few things. Just the concept of automatically deployed a VM is a bit different than the way you do manually. When you do manually kind of deploying a VM, what do you need? You need a host. We're going to put that a VM. Then you need a storage, the data store. Where you're going to put that VM should be the stored. And also you need a networking, right? Which port group it will be, which VLAN it should be there, which interface it will use, how the IP address will be get. So we kind of make all these things as a policy. Again, this is a concept from the UCS director. You'll see the interface probably almost same as UCS director. So starting from the cloud, VDC is a bit different than your deploying in the private data center. In the cloud, you have no control on the host. You don't know what the Amazon and Azure will kind of host your VM. So there is no kind of host policy. That's gone. But network policy, this is your network, your internal network. Maybe your VLAN 10, 11 in this case, or whatever VLAN you are using in your data center, that's the network policy will cover. What kind of IP address you'll give, that's an internal IP address. 172 dot something, 192, or whatever, like internal private IP. Amazon will give a public IP anyway, but you're going to access through your private IP. That will be covered by network policy. Then system policy is what kind of naming it will have, VM name. Now in this fashion, we have certain limitations. It doesn't join the domain straight away, like UCS director. But we're hoping that feature will be added. But those are the things will be taken care of by the system policy. DNS name, configuration as a virtual machine or server. We will also create a VMware VDC. Sorry, again, this network policy, system policy, you combine them and make a VDC. We'll make two, one for web, one for app. That kind of container of all the policies you create for that VM you want to provision in the cloud. Now, VMware VDC we need because to move a VM from the cloud to the vCenter, you need availability of that port group network. Like if it is in VLAN 10 on certain IP address, that should be available there on the VDC. You need a computer policy because you need to decide which host it is going, because that's your data center and your cluster or your host in this case. We'll make VDC just to move the VM from the cloud back here. Now, once you move VM, it automatically comes into mind vMotion or live migration. But this is not a vMotion live migration. The process is, first of all, if it's in the cloud, it shuts down the VM. Then it moves the image, whatever it is, 40 gig, or it copies that your AMI file into the PNSA in your data center. Then it converts back to the VMDK into the PNSC, and then move it to the virtual center. And once it goes out, the process is exactly opposite. So it shuts down the VM. PNSC converts the VMDK into the AMI or VHD, depending on the cloud. Move it to that specific cloud and then bring it up. So it takes some time, and again it is going through your internet wire. So next is the creating a catalog. Once we have the policies and VDCs ready, then the catalog is required to publish it to the user. So as a user, once you log in, you can see in the portal, okay, I've got this VM available, and I can request for those VMs. We'll create 2 of them. Now, to create a catalog, I think I didn't mention here that we need another thing is a template. Means cloud, it says image for the instance. In this case, VMware will have a VMware template, a VM template, and we will move that to the cloud before you do that. As a matter of fact, I have already done it because it's take quite a bit of time. So I've done that part, but I'll show you how to do that. So I've done one image to the Amazon, one to the Azure. Windows 2008 template. And to make a catalog, you need to point to that image, and then once the user requests, based on that image, is going to deploy a VM. And again, before everything, you probably need a user group. Which group will have access to what. In this case, lab, it is pretty simple, just one group. But in your production, you might have different groups, and that can be integrated with Ldap. So if you have a security group in the Ldap, you can have a kind of access to certain your catalog, and other groups can have access to different catalog. So it can be very granular. So after that, we log in as a user and request for a VM provisioning. We'll do multiple of them. As I say, like the VLAN 10 and 11 doesn't exist, so we'll also provision one in the management VLAN 17, and we'll just to show that the networking works fine, and you can log into the RDP and log in there and ping back, and then we'll move a VM from the cloud back to the vCenter or your private cloud. So once this is done, what we're going to do is we will log into the console of that VM in the virtual center. From there, we will be able to log in the VM which is in the same VLAN in the cloud. But we should not be able to do inter-VLAN routing because there is no inter-VLAN routing happening here. So we will deploy a CSR in the later episode, and then we should be able to do the routing, and then next is a VSG. But for now, just we'll focus on deploying the VM and moving the VM across. Okay, then let's start the process. In your this is my ICFD. I just logged in as an admin, and you can see the ICF intercloud. Then if you select the compute, you'll see all the compute resources here. None of the VMs are in the cloud right now. This is all in the DMZ virtual center, and this is like your normal VMs. It was not deployed by ICF, and ICF cannot deploy in the vCenter. It can only deploy in the cloud. So to start creating the policies, we go here, policies and virtual hypervisor policies. I'll start normally with networking, but you can go in any sequence. Now you need a IP pool, as I mentioned before. You need the IP pool for these app VMs. You need the IP pool for the web VMs, and also, as I said, I'll deploy a management VLAN. You will also need an IP pool for that. So I have created already the pools just to save time. So this is your app IP pool. Creating is pretty simple. Add, put the name, and then put the IP range, gateway, and VLANs. So once it is done, your IP pool is ready. So this is VLAN 11 app, and web is 10, and then I've just made one management VM is 17. One more. This is for the ICF management. For this CVSM, ICX, and ICS, all those infrastructure components. This is just test VM. Probably will not do in production, but this is for our test here. So you've got two kind of policies in intercloud network policy. Now keep in mind here the app network policy would be same for if you deploy. In this case, we're using VLAN 11 for both, so that'll be same for both the cloud. But we'll have separate your policy because you have to choose a cloud. So I'm just selecting VLAN 10 static IP. If you didn't create that IP pool, you could do it on the go here, app IP pool. Just make sure that this is correct. Like if you kind of make app VLAN with the web IP pool, then yeah, your networking will not work, and it can be difficult to troubleshoot because you have to apply it on the cloud. You don't have access, and that can mess up. Okay, done. Now you have the option to your clone that, or you can make a new one. There's a disadvantage. Sometimes if you clone that, you see that app is already there. So if you don't delete it, it will be there. So you have to remove it before you make another one. Now you have to create one. If you keep that one, because you'll have two interfaces in that case. So that's just to keep in mind that I find it's sometimes easier to just create new. Web. Okay, I'll just pause and come back once I create all the network policies, just to save time because the process is same for all of them. Okay, I have completed all the network policies, and you can see there are two for each, app and web in AWS, and two in Azure, web and app, and also one for management. I just wanted to show what's management look like. So this is just goes into the management VLAN, and IP address is on the VLAN 17. So now we have to do the VMware one. VMware is to get the VM from the cloud into the vCenter, as I said before. So let's make one on the VMware. I'll make one. I'll just probably move one of them, web one probably. So you can see the cloud is here only vCenter, and this is web. So all our network policies is done. Okay, this is actually by default it is created because there is no VNIC configured. That's it says no NIC configured. Our network policies for VMware and Intercloud is ready. Next is complete policy, and that's only for VMware. As I mentioned before, there is no complete policy for cloud because we don't have any control on that. And in this release, it only allows you to select host, not cluster. Yeah, I'm hoping that that would be added soon in the future releases. So that's completed, pretty quick one. And the next one is your system policy. If you remember, that has limited feature and functionality at this version. So the idea is to automate the naming of the VM. So we'll have one for each app and web, Azure and Amazon. Now, in this release, we don't have the ability to join the domain automatically the way we can do on the UCS director, and also configure other information into the new machine. But this is the only thing we can do right now. So just to make it easier, this is just for my convenience, because there are other people using the cloud, so we know that which VM belongs to me. So that's first of all web. Okay, that's all. So it's pretty straightforward. VM template, VM name, and then policy name, and the domain DNS domain. We can also add the DNS. I'll probably do that later. But this way, I'm going to create 4 of them, 2 for each, and also for 1 for the management one. So once I'm done, I'll get back again. Okay, all the system policies done. I've done one extra, that's for management, because I'm going to deploy one in the management VLAN. So the name should be starting with MGMT. Once this is done, next step is making the VDC. In VDC, we are going to tie all of those your policies together, what we have done so far. So first make these Amazon one. And I made an end user. Okay, I'll probably show that after I'm done with this. So we select AWS system policy for app and network policy for app. Yeah, we have to make sure that this is the right one. Again, I mentioned before that this can be confusing, and this can lead into trouble if it's not taken care of in the earlier stage. So you can see in a VDC, we just make the policies together, then which provider and which account it has access to. So if you're a member of this end user, then you'll have access to this VDC. So you can have multiple VDCs, and the end user or this group can have access to all of them, which you have provided this, access. So it's very important concept to understand to provision and kind of design the your Intercloud Fabric or UCS director. I will create. Okay, let's make one more on the Azure side, and then probably I'll make a pause. So that's app for Azure's Azure System Policy app and Azure Network Policy for app. In advance, you can give options to resizing, VM resizing options. So let's keep just one of them just to demonstrate. It's a Windows box, so we'll keep 2, 3, and 4 gig. 1, 2, 3 for your vCPU, and you can also add approver if you want to. And in that case, you'll have to have a SMTP mail relay so that the email can be forwarded to the approver. Okay, now I'll go back to that user group thing that I showed. So administration, users, and groups. This is again a completely separate topic. We can have one full session on this. So by default, it has groups, the default one, and I created this one. It's pretty straightforward. Just click add and provide this to information. So it doesn't have any role yet. Role goes onto your users. And then I created a user, which is user 1, and he's a service end user. He will not have this portal, he'll have a different portal. And if you add that, you'll give an option what is the user group. So there are, what kind of role you have: group admin, system, and end user. So that user 1 is a member of the end user. So I have given this end user group access to everything, so he can access all those VDCs. Now Ldap integration you can add add your Ldap server into a UCS director. You need a kind of read-only account for that, so it can read all the accounts from that. It's not going to make any change to your Active Directory. Once it is done, then you can automatically sync, or you can sync it manually. You can also bind roles, security group roles in the AD to the roles here in the your ICFD. I'm not going to cover on that, but if you do that, then you'll have to also select that authentication preference to Ldap first and fall back to the local. And as I was mentioning about I mentioned about the emailing thing. If you have an approver, you want him to notified by email. He can probably log into this portal and see that, but then it may kind of add some delay. So mail setup, you need a SMTP relay server which will allow this IP address to be relay email to your users. It doesn't need any mailbox. A relay would be good enough. So let's go back to where we are in the policies. VDC. So we made one in Azure, one is Amazon for app. I will make for web on both cloud, and one for the management, one for the test. Once this is done, I'll get back and stop the pause. Okay, all the VDCs created, so you can see Amazon app and web, and in addition I added the management one. Just management, net, and system policy. And now and also Azure, two of them. Now I'm going to add one more VDC for the virtual center, because I plan to move one of the web VMs to back to the VC from cloud. And the policies we created before, net and compute policy. Done. If you want to, if you plan to move any VM, you need to have a VDC for that VM into the vCenter. Move from the cloud to the premises vCenter. So VDC is done. Next is catalog. So before we do the catalog, we need a template, VM template. That needs to be uploaded. So as I mentioned before, that I have already done that part because it takes quite a while. So let's go and check that. So in the cloud, you can see the enterprise template. This is the templates you have created into your vCenter. So I have one. This is 2008 VM template. So with R2, so you can just, it's very simple process. Create template in the cloud, and it'll ask for a few information. On your side it's very easy, but the process is quite complicated, because what happens, the templates, it's copied to the PNSC. The PNSC converts that VMDK file to AMI for Amazon and VHD for Azure, and that copies that 40 gig files to the cloud, and then kind of keep it there for use. So so that's pretty simple. So just put the name of the template, and then cloud, and then what kind of properties you would like to have, and submit it. That's all. Once you submit it, then it goes as a service request. Let me find out the one I did template creation, right? This one, Azure, and this is for Amazon. Oh, this is failed. Okay, don't worry about that one. Okay, this is Amazon one. Okay, I might have to restart the Azure one, but okay, so there's nothing much to see in the log, except it just keeps saying that how much data is copied and when the conversion has taken place. So you can see all this information right here, and it's converting to AMI for Amazon. So, and also you can see how much bytes copied in the later stage. So 53%. The percentage wise it shows. It's kind of give an indication that how far, and see the time, how much time it took. It started 17:04, ended 21, so almost 4 to 5 hours. So that's quite a bit of time. And now if I go back into the compute, I should be able to see those. This is ICF template, and yeah, we have one for Azure. Amazon one didn't succeed, so let's try to deploy one for Azure, so we can also see that how does the process looks like. It's validating the requisites that we can upload the template to the Azure cloud. Okay, now so Windows box. Once the template is in the cloud, deployment is very quick. I've seen it probably takes around 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes to deploy a VM from the image. But the uploading the image, yeah, that takes quite a bit of time with this obvious reasons. Once it starts uploading your template, we will go ahead and make the catalog for the Amazon side, and we'll start deploying the your. Okay, it's probably seeing that the previous one is in progress, so wait for. Okay, that's fine. Let's not worry about that for now. Now let's go into that policy and catalog. So we're going to make 3 of them right now. So this is just a way to show the user, but the actual validation takes place in the VDC. You can put some note. And this will be visible to the user. And submit. So once it is done, if user logs in, he should see on his portal. Let's make one more. Though he will see different icons, but then he'll be taken to the VDC list, and he have to choose from there which VDC he wants. Okay, the catalog is ready. Let's go into the portal for user. This is the user portal, and that's the catalog folder. You've got 3 of them. Let's first kick off the management one, so we can test the network connectivity. This is management VDC. Should be good enough. So remember, we gave the advanced options, the options to choose from different memory and CPU. That's why you can see that you could probably not allow that. Okay, done. As soon as you start that process, you will see there is a service request started, and it's going to check the provisioning inputs is correct or not for the PNSC, and then once it is happy, then next stage it will go into the PNSC and start. The PNSC will start doing things like provision the VM into the cloud. So let's go back to the cloud and see how many. This is my Amazon portal. We don't see any VM yet. And the naming I'm expecting would be something like this is the admin portal, and we can check the SR status right now. Okay, so it's still in progress. So the name would be this one, create VM, and still it has not started yet, just preparing all those parameters I provided. Instantiating a cloud VM. What's VM? Okay, let it complete that, and then probably we'll come back. In the meantime, let's kind of initiate few other VMs. Web. An app. So as we have kicked off all those service requests, so you can come back into here, and we should say 3 VM provisioning in progress. So let's pause it at right at this moment. Once it is complete, I'll come back and show you. So You can see right now that there is 2 VM already in the cloud. Amazon MGMT1, Web1, the other one is starting, and all are in initializing state. So the process is pretty quick. We can see that how much time it takes, and it has already got the public IP address, and this is actually the third one, which is app AWS SHLR 45. And once it is completed, then we should see the status here on the compute section. All those VMs should be here, and this is the place you should probably admin should use to find out the configuration, IP address, and location of the VM. Still it's not done, so let's wait for some time and come back once it is completed. So 2 of the tasks is complete and 1 is in progress. So let's refresh this one. The first one was the management one. Oh, sorry, that one. Okay, what I did, I've initiated another transfer of the VM template to the Azure one. The previous one was kind of failed because the ICF was rebooted during the process of the move, so that kind of failed. So I initiated another one. It takes a few hours time. In the meantime, we can see that 3 of the your VMs is already provisioned. Let's check for the first one. And this can be a very useful place for troubleshooting. How much time it took? Let's see. First is 1356 to 1403. So 4 minutes around, a little less than 4 minutes. And in the log you can see sorry, that was my fan. What exactly happening on that machine, it would tell you. So if it fails anytime, it'll come red, and it'll tell you that okay, why it has failed, which is very, very useful for troubleshooting. But you can see everything went well, and it is provisioned. I think the more things added into the system policy, probably more information you'll get it from here. The CPU, memory, hard disk. So yeah, skipping the approval. So you can just go through these logs if you have any trouble provisioning the VM. Once the VM is gone, provisioned, then we should be able to check them from this compute tab. So let's go to Amazon. Three VMs total provisions, and active VMs 3. And then if you expand that, then you should be able to see that provider. And you can see all the VMs here. And let's look for the management one, which is getting the IP address is 172, the management VLAN, that's we're expecting. DNS, that's what we provided. VDC category, and tunnel is up. It has to be up, otherwise you won't be able to communicate to that. So if you have trouble communicating the VM in the cloud, first we should check that if the tunnel is up. The one for web 10, VLAN 10 and VLAN 11, it got all the configuration correct. And if you go into the cloud, you should see them as running, and that has a public IP address, all 3 of them. Now let's do some testing. First of all, on the VSM, this is the management one show. Again, those coming from Nexus 1000V or NXX background, probably this will make more sense to them. So we have management 2 and then web app. So let's look at the management 2. So we have an interface with net 13, so is assigned to this port profile. And you can see the machine we are kind of talking about, MGMT, AWS, and SHLL. That's 43. That's having this interface. So that's the one, and it's up. You should be able to see the packets going back and forth, or any troubleshooting from here. It gives you good visibility. And also in the later stage we will do VSG integration. So next stage is try to ping that box, because that's a I already tried that. That's 45 right here, 45. So ping, I'm in the private cloud, I'm in the internal data center, and that's on the Amazon, so I can ping from here. Let's do an RDP into that. Okay, RDP. Okay, that's the IP address 45. So that's the local admin password. So the VM is in the cloud, and I'm sitting in the internal network, and I can access just giving a normal, the private IP address, which makes it very seamless operation for the user and for the admin. So yeah, I can RDP. It's kind of logging its session right now. And from here you should be able to ping and go to other places. So just to show that you have access to the VM in the cloud, and that we have provision through ICF, and that's within the internal network. And you can reboot, terminate, all those things from here, migrate to the VM. We'll do it later. Let's do one of them. Probably initiate this one and then come back once it is done. So that is web one, right? That's when we've kind of prepared for it. And if we have not configured correctly, it will tell you right now that we are not ready to do that. Migrate VM to premises. So it'll keep the same name. So you give us an options once you bring it back to your private cloud. You can rename it. So the VDC we have already created. And then operating system here is, and we have only one host, so that's the one, and the one data store. And we'll remove the source VM once it is done. So click the proceed, and it's going to do a few things. First of all, it's going to shut down the VM on your Amazon. Before that, let's look at the service request here. VM. It takes quite a bit of time, a few hours time. So move VM. Okay, that's powering off the VM to stop the server. Let's go into the Amazon portal and see what's happening here. Okay, yeah. Which one we're trying? The web one, right? Okay. Okay, it's already stopped, you can see here. And it initiates the process. And if you go into the logs, you should see that what exactly it is doing. So remember what I said, for moving that VM back to your vCenter, it has to shut down that, copy that entire 40 gig into your PNSC, convert that in from AMI to VMDK, then push it to the vCenter. So it takes some time. We will stop the session right now, and then we'll do another one once the VM into the your vCenter, and also we'll do the Azure part of it. So I think it's kind of demonstration of how easily you can manage the VM sitting inside your data center, uh, whatever it is, the cloud VM maybe in the your private cloud or on the public cloud, doesn't matter, and you can access seamlessly. All right, thank you, and don't forget to put your comments on the your comment section, or you can contact me also.